talk about the data.
Absolutely, because this show, Dispatches from the Front, is all about showing these micro trends that we're seeing in the market. It's one thing to say, oh, seasonality, the market is slower in the winter and hotter in the summer, but oh, seller's market, oh boy, every house is going to sell. We're going to talk a little bit about the nuances of those today,
Yep.
And about how there's always a yes, but.
Right.
Seller's market, yes, but.
What is your local municipality like? What is the market in your neighborhood like? What does your house look like? What does your house feel like? What are all these like nuances to your specific situation? And one of the things I see people do is I see them read a news article on, let's say, CNN or something,
Right,
and all of
national.
a sudden there is this assumption about every market. And the worst thing I think you can do in this market is assume.
Yes.
You can read trends and you can think things are a certain way, but it's ultimately very important to look at the data, and then also be brutally honest with yourself about your current situation. That the sellers that we've seen be really successful are the ones that go, okay, you're analyzing the data. You look at it every single day, every week, and so you know these macro and micro trends. Right. And so whatever advice you're giving me is probably in my best interest to look at. And it's not just us, it's real estate professionals.
Exactly.
It's people that understand the current real estate market.
People who are paying attention. You were mentioning some specific things that you were seeing in listings where you kind of felt that the seller probably was hearing the message, whether it was from their broker or from these market data analysis articles, including some of the ones that we create, right? That say seller's market, everything is selling, 50% off, everything must go, except it's 50% up.
Yeah, 50% on.
That's not exactly the case that we're seeing day to day, because buyers can still be turned off by specific elements that can make them concerned about the home. What are some of those things that you have been seeing?
What we're looking at a market that's still a seller's market.
Yes.
But what's more, I guess we'd call a more realistic seller's market, a more normalized seller's market, right? Yeah. March, April, May, June, July, August, into September, we were seeing this market where you could do nothing to your house. It could have a failing foundation, it could have failing siding, and it goes on the market and 20 people bid on it, and it's insane. I'm not even just making that up. That's what was happening. Yeah. What I love about this market is it's a normalized seller's market. So the people that are winning as sellers are the ones that are, watching the micro trends or being guided on the micro trends and macro trends, and being brutally honest with their current situation and getting good guidance on how to prep their home properly for sale, right? It's not just about pricing. It's about when somebody goes in there and is able to actually do an inspection, able to do an inspection. What? And it's not just, pre-inspections are still important to do to be competitive, but the whole process of actually doing an inspection, you want to remove as many of those checkpoints or hold up points for people as possible when they're analyzing your house, right? And I've had a recent couple of scenarios where houses in a great neighborhood, houses priced within the range of what I thought it was worth after doing my own analysis. And after doing a pre-inspection, they go, I think we're out on this because the seller did not take the time to prep this house ready for sale. And if we're going to pay this amount or more, start competing, the challenge is that there's a lot of dollars in the way of getting to that value. So,
and when you talk about prepping a home, sometimes the fluffy articles, we have one on our website, I wrote it, but the fluffy articles are like, sweep off your porch and put down a new doormat and make sure all the lights are turned on. Like, that's part of presentation. But what we're talking about is a deeper level zhuzhing of the place, where is the crawl space clean? Are the carpets clean? Like, what are some of those nuts and bolts zhuzhing that a seller should be keeping in mind when they're preparing to sell?
So for the average homeowner that doesn't go down in the crawl space or up on the roof or isn't the super proactive homeowner, best possible thing, in my opinion, that you can do prior to going on the market, if it's not a newish home, is do a pre-inspection, right? Get an inspector in there and just get a checklist of what someone else is going to see when they do this same analysis, right? So you're seeing through the eyes of the buyer, because that's what we want to do. These things, they compound, right? So if I'm a buyer and I'm looking at a house and you're buying it from someone that's taking it to the auto body shop every single month, right? That sort of comparison, I'm going to go, wow, they've done all the things that matter. I don't need to worry about this. I don't need to worry about that. All of a sudden, I'm ready to move on it. And so I think the compound effect is important to take into account as a seller.
Yes.
Pricing the property, not from the perspective of, you know what, let's start high and work our way down. It doesn't work well. You end up lower in many cases than what you would end up if you priced it aggressively, got the house ready for sale. And as a seller, it kind of feels like you're getting squeezed at all ends at the start. You're investing the money up front to see what's wrong with your house. You don't want to shoot yourself in the foot. You're taking care of these issues ahead of time. You're removing these checkpoints, and then you're pricing the house as if it were in a condition not as good as it is. And people start getting surprised as they come through and do their pre-inspections. And next thing you know, you can't keep the buyers away.
Right.
And so those are the two seller profiles that we look at. And you really want to be the one where someone walks in and the compound effect happens. Everything, they're like, well, this is good. This is good. This is good. This is good. Everything else must be good. We're in this market where not everything is selling.
Right.
Not everything is selling quick. And you can't just throw anything on the market and have it be well above asking price, multiple offers. We're seeing more at asking price and below because of this lack of preparation.
In fact, for the 120 homes that are pending in Bellingham right now, I don't have the price points that they penned it at because that data is not disclosed until they're closed and recorded. However, what I can see in the MLS is the original list price and the final list price. So we can see if there have been price reductions. The median final list price for 120 homes is $8,000 less than the median original list price. So we are starting to see potentially overeager sellers or overeager listing agents pricing houses and then needing to back off the price and apply those price reductions on a pretty large scale for it to affect the median of 120 homes that much. So there's a little snippet of data that may or may not show up in tomorrow's market update.
If you're watching the micro trends and the macro trends, you understand your neighborhood or are being guided by a pro, guided by a pro, you will know that there is a price range, and pricing it on the lower end does not mean that you are giving away money because that money is not in your pocket until the house sells.
Exactly.
And you get to determine the condition the house is in when it sells. You get to determine how many people we attract based on the price and how many people we attract based on how you market the property. That kind of hit all the marks?
That sure does.
Awesome. And thanks for joining us this week on Dispatches.
We'll see you next time.
Boom.